Well, hey, good evening to you. I had to come out on the water. The sun went down about an hour ago and just really troubled. I had to get out here mostly because this is where I feel peace. This is where I feel God, the presence of God. There's also verses about how demons can't pass through water, so I always feel a little safer on a boat. From the principalities of wickedness, like I always feel like a sense of, and I think all of us really do when you're out on the water, is this sense of just everything, just you let it go, and you can really see God on the water. And I came out here because I was troubled, like I started with, and really thinking that through, because, man, I'm trying to understand what I just kind of witnessed, so to say, just stirs my spirit. And I pray it stirs yours too. But I'd recently posted a video, and this has nothing to do with the video itself, by the way. It's more about the comments. I posted a video talking about a question that I was asked hundreds and hundreds of times regarding Revelation 3:3 and the Trump shooting. So I addressed it as best I could, just keeping a big question mark on it. And I knew I'd get, hey, like, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, it doesn't bother me. If God tells me to say something, I'm going to say it. If there's something in the Bible that conflicts with what you love or like, sorry, like, I'm going to say it. So that doesn't trouble me at all. I learned way back when I was a teacher that anytime you public speak, it doesn't matter what you say, people aren't going to like it. So again, that does not trouble me. What really troubled me was, obviously, if Revelation 3:3 was fulfilled in that shooting, then that would mean that Trump's the Antichrist, and then people were like, oh my God, how could you say that? Which I wasn't. I made that very clear in the video. But what was troubling, and I'll put the link here to the video, not so you go watch it, because I don't care if you watch it or not. What I want you to do is go look at the comments. And go past the hateful ones and the ones in agreement and all that. It's the many, many comments that said, God sent him here to save us. Now think about that for a second. Just ponder that thought for a second, because the only person God has ever sent to save us was Jesus Christ. And the only person he will send eventually to save us again would be Jesus Christ. So in a weird way, by you calling it out, you're kind of making him a form of Antichrist, or a Antichrist. And there were so many, like, if one of people said it, I'd be like, what's foolishness in the world, but it was so many that it troubled my spirit. I thought, well, that is a form of Antichrist. Like, that literally is, that's what Jesus warned about when they say, look, over there, God sent him to save us. Nobody's going to save you, by the way. Like, a cop might, and your gun might, and maybe a neighbor might, or like I'm not saying nobody will ever save you, but as far as your salvation goes, like, nobody will ever save. Like, there's only one Savior. And the only time God sends kings is either because we ask for it, and he shows us our foolishness and not leaning on him, but leaning on a leader. Like he sent Saul, like read the Bible, that's what that was about. And he warned him, I'll give you a king, sure, but here's what you're going to get, and not good. Or he allows satanic devices to establish their thrones to fulfill God's purpose. An example of that would be Hitler. That definitely satanic devices there, but it fulfilled God's plan. By, at the end of World War II, Israel was a nation again. That was just prophesied to the day, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. So God he's not sending somebody to save you, be very clear. So it's very disturbing to me, very, very disturbing. Because I kind of question, well, where'd you hear that? Like, if it's so many people, where'd you hear it at? Like, you definitely didn't read it in the Bible. You didn't read it there. So where'd you hear it? My guess is false prophets on the internet are saying those things because it tickles your ears and you want to hear it. But think about it for a second. Are those prophets of God? Because if they're prophets of God, they would not be declaring that a mortal man was sent by God to save you. This is very disturbing. And this has nothing to do with the man himself, because he didn't do it. You did it. And not you if you didn't do that, but if you're sitting there spreading this, like, God sent him to save us. There's nothing, the only biblical thing about that is warnings about following false prophets, and be careful that they're pointing towards a Savior, an Antichrist, the opposite of Christ, something that's doing, like, it's an image of Christ, but it's not Christ. And that to me is incredibly disturbing. This is not okay. Because, see, when I made the video, I literally, I checked, if you watch the video, I'm like, well, I don't know, it's interesting. Makes you kind of go, I'll put a question mark on that and keep following it. Let's walk down this path. I always like walking down strange paths, trying to figure out who the Antichrist is. Always into that. I think most of us are deep down. It's a fun activity. And there's nothing wrong with it, because the Bible gives us all sorts of ways to look for it. So they do that on purpose, so we can see it. But it's the calling it out, and that makes it official. Not that he's the Antichrist, but that the people that are doing that are making him a form of Antichrist. And that's prophetic. Like, Jesus literally warned about that, and now we're like, go read it. It's creepy, man. Like, in God we trust, not in government we trust, or in that guy that's gonna save us. Like, it's just like Jesus said, look, when they say that, don't believe them. Look over there, there it is. He's here to save us. Like, no, don't believe that. And my guess is some sort of online false prophet is spreading that wickedness. Like, I don't know if you know what that is. Like, where people get that? Like, where'd they get that? Because it is wicked. It is a form of Antichrist. If many, many, many people, and I can't remember how many comments there are. There was like 500 comments, and it was at least a couple dozen. Like, it was a bunch. That it creeped me out, man. Every time I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you guys are like, what? Like, that is crazy. And you have to see it. Don't fall for that nonsense. Like, and again, I had nothing to do with the politician himself. I don't have a problem with that fella. It's just that is messed up. That worshiping. And that is worship. And you may sit there and go, well, I'm not worshiping. But if you think that God sent him to save you and your family and your land and your investments, that is worship. literally like the definition of it. So, man, I'm sure I'm stepping on more toes, but that's okay. The truth has to be said, man. God told me to have the spirit of Elijah, which is the spirit of declaring the goodness of God. And Elijah was around when Ahab was around. It was Ahab hunting him down, trying to kill him like he killed all the other prophets and hunted them down. And that's the same thing as the end time. It's the spirit of Elijah to point at those things. Even though everybody wants to kill you for it, that's okay. And you may be tearing your shirt, blasphemy, how dare you, tell me not to worship this man. I'm not telling you not to worship him. I'm just warning you, like, Jesus isn't cool with it at all. And it does make him a form of Antichrist. Period. And that's not his doing, it's your doing. Just creepy, man. Just creepy stuff.